fun dad fact number 3. If you mix in just a little bit of sawdust with your wood glue before applying it, you actually create a bond that's stronger than the wood itself. How about that? I'm Matt Howes, and this is Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads. Welcome back there, winners, and welcome to episode 10, otherwise known as the 1-month anniversary of Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads. 10 episodes, 1 month, 300 downloads. That's what I like to hear. How about you? I do. You know, that's how it is. Also today, the day of the recording, is Penny's 2-month anniversary of being alive. That means I'm doing something right as a parent because she's still around. You know, she's hip, she's cool, she's mine. And lastly out there, winners, speaking of winners, God's second greatest gift to mankind, second only to my daughter, is the world-famous opening day today of the New England Patriots. Winners, 7 rings coming, good season. All right, everybody calm down. It's a special. It's an anniversary. Okay, technically, I know, shut up you people at home who think you know better than I do. It is the 1 month and 1 week anniversary, but I wanted some time to put some production into the show so y'all can just take your toys and go home if you don't like it, okay? First and foremost, I am happy as a clam because I finally managed to get my wife out of her number one job making sandwiches in the kitchen like a good wife, and she has come to sit down and join us here on Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads and sometimes moms. Honey, why don't you introduce yourself to the listener out there who's waiting bated breath to hear about our lives.
Hi, well, my name is Sarah. Thank you for having me, my wonderful husband. I love you so much.
And yes, she does. I pay her to say that, you know. Yeah. Anyway, so why did you want to come on the podcast today, sweetheart?
Well, I've really enjoyed the show. I listen and hear it get made, and I wanted to participate.
Well, let's get down to it then, shall we? Well, first and foremost, I have a few little one-off topics, and then I have a hard hitter that works perfectly because this is Penny's anniversary of life. Not their actual anniversary, though I do hate it when people refer to anything besides 1 year as an anniversary.
Okay, can I interject here?
Oh, please do.
So it's appropriate, I think, until 2 years to quantify your kids in months old. Just because they change so rapidly, so there is a difference between a 1-year-old and a 16-month-old, let's say. But after 2 years, no, your kid is not 30 months old.
Well,
like, your kid is 2.5.
24.
You know?
My kid is 75 months old.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, and that's not. That's perfect. That's a great stance to take on that subject because it's perfect. Yeah. But I mean, I love when people say it's our 2-month anniversary. I'm like, no, it's your 2-month anniversary. It's an anniversary, as definition, is a 1-year thing. So that's why they have centennials, 100-year anniversaries.
Yes.
But yes, as it is Penny's 2-month anniversary.
Month-iversary?
Well, and you know what? I use it because there's no better alternative.
Right.
So again, as with most things in life, I have to use things that make me angry because there's no better alternative. But let's start with some of the one-off topics.
Okay.
Do you recall, Sarah Jane, a certain spit up that happened just a couple days ago?
Like the most epic projectile spit up that has ever happened.
I was holding my lovely daughter, our lovely daughter, Penelope Grace, in my arms, and I heard the sound like a Super Nintendo laser beam coming from a very unlikely place, not from my Super Nintendo at all, but from my lovely, lovely daughter, my sweet little girl. And it was a sound that dads out there, parents out there, if you've heard, you will know what I'm describing. I guarantee it. This is not too hard of a thing to hear, but all of a sudden and we have the burp cloth, right, babe? We have that.
We have them strategically placed around our house because you never know. Our daughter has reflux, so you never know when spit up will occur.
I constantly sit down
Yeah.
with her to feed her and always forget to have one. That's why they're everywhere throughout the house.
Yes.
But I had the burp cloth over my shoulder, and that didn't really help very much because it was mostly in her hand. She had like an infinity gauntlet of spit up. And then my shoulder was covered, and the burp cloth, and it was like that scene in Pitch Perfect when Rebel Wilson gets hit with the burrito. I've been shot!
I've been shot!
I've been shot! It was a very good one. Recently, we've been having a few spit-ups episodes, but that is what it is. We have our doctor's appointment in 2 months. Don't start diagnosing out there, casual listener. But one of the other things I want to talk about is my wife has been dealing with the scrutiny I've been receiving from the evil, vile corporation out there known as Facebook, otherwise known as one of the places we host our pages. But so I don't know if this offends you, but the word shit really isn't that offensive. And, well, I don't know. Sarah, is the word shit that offensive?
I mean, our 2-month-old is in a rocker while we film this and say shit repeatedly, so I don't think so.
We'll call that. We'll say call that.
Maybe
what
I'm
you
a
will.
bad mom. I don't know.
No, it's you can say it on television now.
Right.
It's not
censored.
It's not 1950s. I've been trying to run an advertisement for this on Facebook just to get some awareness out there. I feel that I've had some dads reach out to me from all over the country and talk to me and say they appreciate what we're doing, and I tell them to share it as much as I can because I'm being essentially stifled in my advertising purposes because Facebook is first I submit the ad, which is just promote the page, and Facebook comes back with me as like, oh, you're not being inclusive. You didn't accept our diversity standards and blah, blah, blah. First off, I did. It says I signed it August 6th when I created the page. Second off, it's a podcast for dads, which I don't know if you out there know that, but dads come in all races, creeds, color, and religions, and shitty dads, good dads, fat dads, short dads, skinny dads, I don't know, Lego dads. They're out there.
We want you all to listen.
And that's, if you're going to tell me having a podcast for dads is uninclusive, you're out of your fucking mind.
What's funny there, too, is you have to accept the policy, which is totally fine. We obviously don't discriminate. But then you go in and you can target who you want to have see your post. So it's very targeted. How you boost your posts, which is funny.
I argue back and forth with Facebook because at first they send me that and it was obviously picked up because the tagline is a podcast for dads, and their algorithm for sure says, oh, it's a podcast for someone, and I'm like, well, listen, if I said it was a podcast for electricians, you would. There's nothing wrong with having a targeted podcast. I'm sorry, not every podcast speaks to every person, and that's the point. That's the reason why we're allowed to do things that celebrate our individuality. And in a world where that's becoming increasingly more difficult to do, I don't think saying dads is a horrible thing. And if you do, then you're definitely listening to the wrong podcast. But so I say, I request a review, and I say, I don't understand why that's going to happen. And they come back at me with, oh, well, you have the word shit in your title. And I say to them, well, again, I request another review. Well, I target it to people who are 18 plus. And I have seen beheading videos on my feed before they started putting those thumbnails over. And
sensitive content.
Yeah, and even still, I'm like, the word shit to an 18 plus year old, and I'm sorry if it offends you as an oldster, and I know that there's definitely older people out there who find that that's not exactly PC or whatever, but it's not the way the world works anymore, and shit is definitely not an offensive word, but that's what they were trying to say with that. But anyway, I get through all that nonsense, and by the way, if you are hearing anything in the background, it's fucking hot, and the air conditioner's on, so relax, and I live in a world where you have to run the dishwasher every once in a while, so relax. It's okay. I'm doing the best I can. We're doing our thing here. We're making things happen. But with the ads, I finally get past this filter. I complained to them enough where they finally approved it. Not an ad for like any particular post, but an ad for the page. Just the page. And I get some likes, find some people that are and it was originally the target audience was everyone, everywhere, 18 plus. Fine. So I see that word approved. And Sarah was right there. I was fucking excited, wasn't I? Mm-hmm. And so I go in and I'm like, sweet. And then I'm like, you know what? It's a little wide. It's 18 to 65 and everywhere. So I wanted to narrow down the margins. By the way, for all inclusiveness and making sure you don't target anyone, I'm still allowed to target an audience, which is what my wife was saying just earlier. I can still filter it by specific kinds of people, but I'll leave that out of their inclusivity nonsense. But so I go and I change it. And I'm like, okay, I want to do dads, new dads, single parents, all kinds of stuff. Basically kind of lowering. I went to 18 to 45 just to kind of bring it in. And because it said you're targeting you're casting too wide of a net, you might want to dial it in a little bit. So I change it. Stoked. It goes under review because that's what happens. Anytime, I don't know if anyone here has worked with Facebook advertising before, but when you change the parameters, it takes the review again just to be, another extra step of nonsense. Well, after, I don't know if you heard Penny back there, but she's having herself a good time. She's here too. Penny's also on the podcast. She's just not mic'd up right now. Boy, howdy, the diaper has changed, and we got a bottle in her right now. That'll keep her quiet for a little bit, hopefully. Anyways, to continue on about Facebook's non-discrimination discriminatory practices, because I feel discriminated against, my ad was somehow not approved after setting my target audience to, spoiler alert, my fucking target audience. Like, there's no reason anyone who's not a dad or a parent really needs to be advertised to. If you want to listen to this for entertainment value, go for it. But I do this podcast for an outlet for myself to vent about parenting. And really, because there's not a lot of outlets out there for dads, it's a little bit of a way for my family who's far away from me to keep in touch or to listen to what's going on in my life. But realistically, I don't need to target it to, I don't know, the mothers against video game addiction and violence, or whoever groups are out there that are just nonsense people who I don't care about. So why would I want them? Why am I paying to have them view my ad? So yeah, Facebook is like, oh, hey, sorry, your ads. And it was, again, it's automatically picked up by their algorithms. And then I have fought with them for 2 days. And finally, I got the ad for the page fully approved. It's been doing really, really well for us. We've been getting a lot more steam from it. I'm very excited about it, but fuck Facebook, and their practices are stupid, and I'm sure they'll take down my page and ad now if they hear this, but I doubt they're listening. But yeah, it was finally approved. And I will never try to run another ad. I literally am just going to continue to put money into this one because it's approved. The target audience is set. The die has been cast, So that's my nonsense with Facebook. You there, baby?
I am here.
She's feeding lovely Penny right now, so you hear the little clicks of a bottle going off. But the big topic I wanted to talk about today was something my wife actually told me that she wanted me to talk about in an episode, and I figured it'd be most appropriate to have her on when we discuss it. And it goes along the lines of, how did you feel when you were told you were going to become a parent? And more quantified is, did anyone ask you as a father how you felt about becoming a parent? Like how that feeling attached itself to you? Because everyone always asks, and again, that's the reason my wife's on the podcast, is so you people don't think that I'm just anti-mom. I love my wife. She's an amazing mother. So relax. But there are people who don't ask about dads. People don't think we need to be asked about. So I'll tell you how I felt about becoming a father. But first, I'll have you hear about how my wife felt when she discovered she was pregnant and that we were going to be parents. So go ahead, baby. Go for it.
Well, it was late October, and we had just come back from a friend's wedding in Chicago, so they're actually going to be celebrating their 1-year anniversary here coming up, so congratulations, Mike and Amanda. But was a little bit late on good old Aunt Rose.
Aunt Flo.
Aunt Flo.
Oh my God, my mother's name is Rose.
Sorry,
God.
Sorry, Rose. We love you. And we had talked previously. At this point, we were engaged. Our wedding was December 1st, so we were still several weeks out from our wedding.
I believe our wedding hashtag was "Welcome to our wedding." Hashtag don't do the math.
Exactly. We had known that when we got married, we wanted to try to start a family because both of us, well, Matt, you're 32 now, and I'm going to be 32 in October. So we knew we wanted to start pretty quickly on trying to have a family. I had talked to my doctor about going off birth control, and she had advised me to do it at my leisure, but, it could take several months for it to, for your body to get used to not being on it anymore. So the sooner the better. Well, I went off of birth control in September, and by October, we were pregnant. We definitely were not expecting for it to happen that quickly.
No, anyone who tells you it's safe to pull the goalie with 3 months to go before your wedding is an idiot. Yeah. And I read it in a bunch of places. This is not just someone giving us, they're like, oh no, it takes so much time. And I'm like, well, I pulled it because they said it was going to take 3 months, and they were about 3 months off from that.
Yeah. And, it was not ideal for me to be pregnant at our wedding, but it is how it was. And
more alcohol for me.
Right. Taking the test, I bought a pregnancy test.
Oh, Penny. Oh, we'll be right back, folks.
So I bought the test. I came home from work. I took the test, and lo and behold, positive. And I see all these things online about like cute ways to tell your partner that you're pregnant, and all I did was take a picture of the test and text it to you. And you were still at work, and you called me and you were like, oh, okay.
I think I was like, I don't remember you thinking this was going to happen, actually, to be honest with you.
But actually, so that night, you had bought me tickets to go see Hocus Pocus, because that's one of my all-time favorite movies.
And it comes back to theaters.
And they were playing it at the local movie theater by our house, and we went to go see Hocus Pocus that night. So, yay.
Win-win.
Yeah, it was a win-win.
So how did it make you, what was this is more about what it's about, is how the feeling you got learning you were about to be a parent, and we all know it's a cornucopia of things.
Initially I was like, oh crap, my mom is going to kill me. Then it was kind of like, oh wait, I'm 30. I'm a grown-up. I can be having a kid.
Also, people forget that this is like, you telling your parents at any age that you're going to have a kid is you're telling your parents you had sex. It's really what you're doing. And it's like, it's awkward. It's like, obviously not a lot of people look at it that way, but I'm like, I just have to tell. We ended up telling it at a huge family gathering. I'm like, everyone here knows that we just had sex. Well, not just had sex.
Well, we ended up telling my family in November because we went to a celebration of life for my grandfather, who we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of his passing. So little shout out to Opa. We love you. But overall, how I felt finding out I was going to be a mother was scary, exciting, back to scary, which is kind of the same emotions you feel when you actually become a parent. So nothing really changes there. Every day that we get with her is such a blessing, but it's also so scary because we don't know if we're doing things right. And I say we because it really is a team effort. I by no means do any more than Matt does. In fact, Matt has been such an amazing support system while I was recovering from my C-section. And he is definitely Penny's favorite person. So, you know, during the night, like, he is the one she wants to smile at. So for us, like, raising her each day, it's been such an incredible blessing, but it's also so incredibly scary because you want to make sure you're not messing your kids up, and you want to make sure you're doing things right. With as little damage as possible, I guess.
Yeah, because we all came out unscathed over the years.
I know.
But it's good to hear from a mom that I know and love, my wife. Is that all, baby?
That is all.
Well,
I love you guys, and thank you for having me on.
I appreciate you coming on. Unfortunately, guys, it's pretty fucking difficult to be a parent, and when both of you are trying to record an episode of a podcast with a screaming baby and an obnoxious dog, and I'm sure the cat's going to be over here to make a noise in a few minutes as well, it's a circus, and so I am going to enjoy the time that my wife allows me to record the rest of this podcast. I'm going to take 2 seconds, and we'll be right back.
Oh, and just because I'm going to be saying goodbye to you guys, but you know my husband is from Boston. He's a huge Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins fan, but I am a Rams fan, and I'm a huge Lakers fan, and today the Rams won their opening game against the Carolina Panthers. So go Rams. It was a close game. Super proud. We're going to win this year, Super Bowl. So...
What's a close game? I haven't ever seen one of those before. Anyway, Sarah, pleasure having you on the podcast.
Deflategate.
We'll be right back. Thank you. And we're back. All good here. I think that's an accurate lead into how chaotic life can be as a parent, but we love it. We love every second of it. And I guess now on to how I felt as a father, learning that I was going to be a parent. Again, I got the text from Sarah. It was a picture of the pregnancy test. I didn't think that was currently on the table, or I guess then currently on the table. It was also, I'm like, does that mean yes or no? Because most of those pregnancy tests are all different lines, plus signs, smiley faces, skull and crossbones, who knows? But the first thing I did was just fuck it right out of work early and went home to hang out with my wife and to celebrate the fact that we're going to be parents, because it was something we wanted to do. And I'm very, very still to this day excited that I get to be a parent. And yeah, the mixture of emotions from excited to terrified to excited again. But one of the things that I really felt, and I mean, this is the long and the short of it, I think anyone who's a parent can relate to this. There was a hole in my heart that I didn't realize was the shape of my daughter Penny until she was born. And finally, that heart was complete because I had what I had always never known that I had needed to complete my life. And so that's how I felt. And again, don't let me sit here and not make it seem like I was, shitting my pants because of all the things, money and family, having to tell people that we're pregnant before our wedding, which was great, again, by the way. But there was a little penny-shaped hole in my heart that was filled by her, and I've never been able to feel... I was telling my mother-in-law that I can't remember. It's hard for me to remember what life was like before Penny, BP, not the oil spill. But yeah, so that's how I felt, And I mean, dads out there, we do have a hotline now, by the way, if you want to call. It's a message only thing. I won't answer the phone, but I plan on featuring segments in the show about dads out there that are the listeners who will call, leave a clear message. It could be like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, a little bit of time of a good story you have about your kid, a story about your life with your as a parent, something cool like that, and just to kind of get access, have people from outside be able to hear these stories. And of course, I'll wait till a few pile up before I start peppering it in there. But the hotline out there for shits and giggles, boys and girls, is 1-818-835-2350. Again, that number is 818-835-2350. Call, leave a message. And yeah, we'll hopefully feature some of you guys on the show in a segment towards the end, probably around the Penny's development spot. I definitely want to get that going. I want to hear from you. When I ask a question, I do intend to, or I expect to hear an answer. Like the Facebook page, call us on the phone number, send us an email, ask us a question. My wife and I are just going through this on our own, so we're figuring it out ourselves. But yeah, that's how I felt when I found out I was going to become a parent. And now we come back with everyone's favorite segment, Good News, Dad News. It's not really news, not necessarily a news article, but I shared a documentary that was recommended to me by one of our listeners, Pedro T. Shout out to Pedro T. It's called 50-50 Dads Matter Too, and it's about a few guys it's an interview kind of documentary about guys who have been in awful, horrible custody battles, not being able to see their kids, and they're trying their darndest to get through. It goes through how the court system is incredibly unfair. It's stacked against the dads. It's all in favor of the moms, which, again, I went into this in great detail in episode 8 that you should never use your personal bias against your child. You think you're hurting your ex, you think you're hurting your ex-husband or the father of your kid, but you're really hurting the kid, and it's killing the father, but you're also doing some horrible damage to that child, and it's heinous. So if you want to see a few dads' perspectives on really the effect and how they're trying as hard as they can, one of the guys in the documentary was like, I haven't been able to see my kid I probably won't be able to see them for over a year while they go through court stuff. A lot of these dads have I get 3 or 4 days a month to see my kid, and they want to be with their kid. So again, leave your personal bullshit out of this. Don't hold the kid hostage when you're trying to fight a custody battle. Leave the kid out of your problems. I'll leave it at that. But again, it's called 50-50 Dads Matter Too. It's a documentary. You can find it on the Facebook page. I shared it. I will share it again later on, but it's definitely something worth looking into. And that's Good News, Dad News. Moving on to where Penny is at developmentally. Well, the newest thing she is doing is she is really enjoying the ramifications of her actions. She likes to watch what happens when she does stuff. She's experimenting. Like when she kicks and something moves, she gets a kick out of it. And she really enjoys it. It's funny to watch her on the bouncer when she realizes that she's using her own body weight to bounce her and to bounce herself up and down, and she's noticing that this is something that's happening. It is super duper, in my opinion, and again, it's just watching this person evolve in front of me. She's 2 months old today. I know this is going to be released in 2 days, but she's 2 months old as of the date of this recording, and it's just, she's so different. She's huge. She's very, very long. She definitely doesn't look like a 2-month-old. We just stacked her up against our friend's 8-month-old, and she's the same size. So it's crazy. I love it. Another thing, the last thing about her on the developmental scale is that she is doing this laugh thing where she'll do that big, cute little smile at me, and she'll just go, it's a little stoner laugh that my daughter's doing, and it's fucking amazing. So I definitely am noticing a lot of differences here. The last couple episodes, there's been little things here and there. These are some big things to me. I want to wrap up. I know that this has been a bit of a scattered episode. It is the 1 month and 1 week anniversary, the 10th episode, celebrating 300 plus downloads in a very short amount of time. So we're getting there. We're moving. I'm proud of that. So if you don't like that, that's fine. I know there's been a lot going on. My house has been a little chaotic today. I appreciate you for sitting through it. I am so happy that my wife was here to talk about some of the things that I know that she's been wanting to tell the world, about her stuff, our stuff as parents. And I appreciate you bearing with us through a very chaotic episode with Penny in the background, the animals, and general things that were happening, like the washing machine, blah, blah, blah. But thank you again for listening. As always, I will leave you with my world famous words of wisdom. My kid is better than your kid, and vaccinate your kids or keep them the hell away from mine. I'm Matt Howes, and this has been Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads. You've just listened to one dad's perspective on parenting. This show is not meant to be an authority on how you should raise your kids. Did you enjoy the show? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on social media. Leave a review. Anywhere that you can find and download podcasts, you can find Shits and Giggles. Find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at shitsandgigs42 with 2 Gs. Email us at shitsandgigs42@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube as well by searching for Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads. Don't forget, you can also call the hotline to leave a quick story about you as a parent at 818-835-2350. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.